Hey, Northwest Arkansas, this is Alberto Garcia. I'm with the NWA Solutions team with Pack Home Realty, and I have Francisco here. So he's a friend that I met through a lender with
Yeah,
Mauricio.
yeah,
Yeah, when we went to the
basketball.
basketball game over in Fayetteville. So
Shout out to Mauricio.
yeah, shout out to Mauricio. Got me my personal loan too. So
Yeah,
he's always doing what he can to get those loans passed.
definitely.
So, but yeah, no. So after we met, we were talking, and you do insurance, and being in real estate myself, like I always try to look for options for our community, see what options they have available, rather than just getting stuck with one thing and then being like, this is what it is. Like we want to find solutions for you.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, like just kind of tell me a little bit about your business, and how you started.
Yeah, so my business, I work with insurance, primarily focus on homeowners, personal lines insurance, so auto, home. I do a little bit of commercial and a little bit of life insurance on the side. But my primary focus is just to help new home buyers that are purchasing a home for the first time. They get hit with a lot of new information from the lending side. And then on top of that, you have to add the insurance, which here in Arkansas, because of the amount of, catastrophic events that we get, is something that important. And I try to just take the time, explain to them kind of what the important things are. I know a lot of times it's pretty easy to focus just on price, but when it comes to insurance, like I said, it's specifically here in Arkansas that we do get hit with natural disasters pretty commonly now.
Yeah.
I try to differentiate myself by just explaining the coverages, explaining them what would happen in the event of a claim, especially now that they're getting ready to make, one of the biggest decisions of their life, that it's to insure a home and to purchase a home. So that's primarily what I cater myself towards. I've been doing insurance since 2017. So I started with life insurance. I then worked for a brokerage and got my personal lines insurance license.
Mm-hmm.
So to be able to do life and home and basically everything under that umbrella for personal lines. And I've been doing it since. And now I have 2 years with my personal agency.
Well, that's awesome. And yeah, and we actually closed one of our insurance
Yeah.
my clients.
Yeah.
So the good thing is, like, we look for options to see what's going to be the best option for clients. I mean, obviously, as a new first-time homeowner, you're always looking at different options to see what's going to be more convenient for your family in long term. But just knowing that you have somebody that can kind of guide you through every policy, that I feel like is really helpful, especially someone that's that communicates really well, very responsive on whenever you ask them questions, and just trying to give you multiple options, not just leaving you with one options. I think it's kind of like what I really like working with them. So one of the questions that honestly I kind of get from my customers is, let's say for example, they bought a house a few years ago, and they didn't know what insurance to go. They just went with whatever they provided them. But now they're like, do they have the option to like maybe contact you and see what other options are available? Or
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that you mentioned at the beginning, where it was as far as options, one of the advantages that I have as a broker, where I represent multiple companies, is that I can shop, 6, 7 different companies and find the best one that's catered to your client. Because whenever you're shopping for insurance, there's a lot of factors that go into it. So credit is a big one, the type of home, the age of the home, if they've had any previous claims. So they take a lot of factors into consideration, where sometimes I might have one company that's really, really relying on credit history. And that might not be the best for somebody that's barely, maybe purchasing their first home that doesn't have established credit. So where one company would maybe ding them for that, I can find another company that'll give them a better rate that focuses on other factors. And yeah, to answer your question, if they've had the same insurance for, I would say typically the sweet spot is every 3 years, maybe shop, see, there could be, a claim that maybe fell off. If you had a claim, your credit might have gotten better. Things always fall off. Your record rates are always changing. It's not like before where you could get grandfathered into a policy and kind of have the same rate for a long time. Now it's almost you're better off every 3 years, I would say, is the sweet spot to kind of shop around and make sure that you're still getting the best rate, just because of how much everything's changing around here.
Yeah. Another thing, like especially with the current market or house market that we have with the interest rates, typically like being a little bit higher than what we're used to, especially during COVID. I mean, that was an amazing time. But now, I mean, this is starting to be the more normal. We get a lot of people that are cautious about their monthly payments, where they're starting to see, they're seeing some resale homes that are maybe a little bit cheaper than a new construction home. Um, but then they get surprised whenever they start seeing the monthly breakdown of their payments. Maybe their loan is a little bit cheaper,
Right.
but then they see an increase in the rise in their insurance. So like, is it beneficial? Like, or what are the main things in that affects the monthly payments for a resale and a new construction?
Yeah, so typically across the board, a newer construction home is always going to be less expensive just because of the fact that typically something that just got recently built, it's less likely for a pipe to break or anything like that. So they're typically less expensive to insure. But there's always things that, like I said, they can do to if let's just say, for example, it's an older roof, if it has a new roof, if they have good credit, they can still get a really, really competitive rate, given everything else is equal. But yeah, just across the board, typically a newer construction home will be less expensive to insure than an older one.
Okay. Yeah, because that's something that we kind of noticed too, is like something we're trying to go cheaper and like finding an older home, but then by the time we started seeing the insurances, it definitely it can affect it. So sometimes when we compare it to going to new construction, even though the price is a little bit higher, their payments are a little bit lower than the resale one, just for the fact that the roof is newer, HVAC is newer, just different factors like you said that may affect it. But yeah, that's something to consider if you're looking into a resale or a new construction. Just kind of weigh your options, see what's more convenient for you and your family. Um, but one of the other thing, like what are some other things that maybe as a first time home buyer, you don't really think about that you might want to like maybe reconsider or want to have some knowledge about it.
Yeah, so I would say just try to be as knowledgeable as possible with your insurance. It takes, a couple minutes for you to call your agent and say, hey, can you give me just a basic breakdown of the policy? What is replacement cost versus actual cash value, which is a pretty big one here in Arkansas. And it's basically, just to give you an example, typically most roofs after 15 years or 10 years, depending on the company, they'll switch from full replacement, where you just pay your deductible, they pay whatever it costs to replace a roof, to a actual cash value basis where it decreases by the age of the roof.
Yeah.
So just having like knowledge, hey, if I was to file a claim, is my roof covered 100%, or do I get a diminishing value basically? Are my personal belongings covered? What's my deductible? Those are things that I feel like everybody, I know whenever you see an insurance policy, it's probably pretty scary because there's a lot of numbers on it. But those are things that it's in your best interest to know, and it doesn't take that long to learn.
Okay. So let's say if we have like a client that, I mean, they're shopping for a home and then they get an insurance policy. Um, could they just contact you and just like you can run those numbers and get information? Just break
Yeah,
it down and explain that.
yeah, absolutely. So I would say probably the best time is once you guys are maybe submitted an offer and you guys are getting ready to proceed with everything. I would say that's probably the best time to start shopping around for insurance. That way you can shop multiple carriers. You can see kind of what your options are. And then kind of go from there as far as what coverages you would like, what deductibles you want on the policy. There's a lot of things that are flexible. A lot of the times it's pretty easy to just focus on the price, or the premium of the insurance policy.
Yeah.
But they could be the same exact price, and one could have, a $5,000 or $6,000 deductible, where the other one will have a $2,500 deductible.
Hmm.
And you might think you're saving a little bit of money, maybe, slightly lowering the payment. But it could, if you ever have to file a claim, you're talking a $4,000 or $5,000 difference in the event of a claim
Oh,
that you would be responsible for.
yeah.
So just little factors like that. Again, I'm always, if somebody wants to reach out to me for a quote, even if they're just in the process of shopping, I'm more than happy to go, make a quote for them, go over the options, and then that way they're knowledgeable and feel good about the big purchase that they're making.
Okay. So you're a runner. So I've
Yeah.
been seeing your Strava, all your like honestly, whenever I go do my Strava, I look at yours, I'm just like, man, I can't wait to like be able to get the same
Yeah,
page and
yeah.
stuff like that. So like that, just that in itself, like just it's kind of pretty inspiring too.
Well, I appreciate it.
Seeing like your story, how you told me how you just started out and like and where you're at now, like
Yeah.
just kind of little by little, you're the same thing with your business. Like you start out little by little, and now like you're compounding it,
Yeah.
making it grow.
No, exactly. Well, thank you. I appreciate the compliment. That's one of the things where I feel like it's kind of weird how it works, but I feel like the better I do in stuff outside of work, the more naturally I do better at work. And it's just, I think, keeping your body busy and then keeping your mind busy with work. You almost need to level out the two. Sometimes when I have a stressful day at work, the only thing I want to do is just go home, put my running shoes on, and then go for a run and then
Mm-hmm.
go home and get to sleep. But yeah, just like anything, start small, and then just stay with it. There's been hiccups with the business, there's been injuries with running, and it's just a matter of picking yourself back up and just thinking long term that something good will come from it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, I mean, that's really good that you say that, because even though like we're in the business, and you might see like them like businesses that are pretty successful, and you start to compare yourself to them, and just like you kind of feel like, man, like I'm struggling with like business stuff. But at the end of the day, like every business, they have so many failures before they have all the great
Yeah.
successes. So that's one of the things that, like, just in small businesses, like if you have a small business, because I've talked to multiple local owners where they, especially during times when the economy is like kind of shifting or there's changes, and they start seeing struggles, they like don't give up. Like, I mean, obviously
Yeah.
things are going to happen, but like as long as you keep pushing forward and surround yourself with other people that want to see yourself succeed, and see basically help each other. Um, that's one of the things that I've noticed that has really helped out, especially coming over from where I used to live, like in Russellville, and I was like 2 hours away. I moved over here having no family in this area and no friends, like literally just brand new. Just started networking with people and trying to see like how can I add value to them? How can I be of service to them? And like, and just see basically how can I help people, and in return, I mean, obviously like people are coming to me to see like how I can help them too,
Yeah.
find a house
Yeah.
and things like that. So yeah, it's definitely something that, I mean, it really makes sense, like what you said, like little by little, and just go through all the failures and just continue to compound it little by little.
Yeah, I think a lot of times it's pretty easy to get impatient and try to do everything right now, and try to be better than what you have been, or what you see other people post or stuff, online or whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think if you just stay consistent, you think long term, and then probably the number one thing, as far as being a business owner that I've learned is you don't have to be necessarily the smartest person or the best salesperson. But I think the one quality that you need to have is, number one, you need to have faith that you're going to do good and you're going to help people. And then number two, you need to be a good problem solver, because every day, there's always going to be something new, and there's always going to be something that you walk in and, oh, now I have to figure this out, or I
Right.
have to go try to ask for help on this or that. So it's not necessarily being the best at one specific thing, but it's almost like being knowledgeable in every aspect of the business. As far as insurance, being able to service the policies, it's pretty easy to get the quotes, and to write the policy and everything. But I think the real value from having a good agent comes from when you service the policy, when they actually need you.
Hmm.
If you're comparing a local agent to, an insurance company that you see online with a 1-800 number, I think their real value shows when you call somebody and they actually care about you and they try to help you, instead of calling a 1-800 number and then you're going to get a different rep every single time you call.
Right.
So to me, I think that's kind of the value that I try to bring to the community. And there's a lot of need, there's not um, a lot of places where they'll try to explain things to you, and try to take the time right now that everything is super quick. And hey, let's try to get more policies, let's try to get this, let's try to get that. To actually sit down, take the time with somebody, I think it shows value, and a lot of people really welcome that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's true. I mean, and that's kind of what I've noticed too. Like even on the real estate side, I get a lot of referrals. Like, well, randomly, I just get text messages or calls from, I mean, people that call me and say, "Hey, you help one of these, my friends or family member, and they told me that you'll be able to help me out. You gave them like a plan. You gave them like basically just
Hmm.
in a way, like, do you tailor everything towards them and give them the full attention and make sure that you're always there to help them out. Like honestly, what I try to do is like see where you're at, what plan can we build if you're not ready yet? Or at least let's build a plan, give you information, resources, so you can have it available when you are ready, so that you can then take the next step once you're ready for that. But just honestly, I feel like that in itself is what differentiates a lot of businesses. If you can give the time and you actually give the care to the people, like you actually genuinely care about helping them and serving
Yeah,
them,
yeah,
it
definitely.
definitely makes a big difference. Because I get like many people that
Yeah.
just come and they're like, "Oh yeah, I tried a few years ago or last year, and yeah, they didn't explain none of this to me," and I was like, "Oh, well,
Yeah, no, I've had clients even as recent as last week where they'll hit me up for a quote. I'll look at the quote that they have or the current coverage that they have, and I'm like, hey, in all honesty, this is a great policy. I'm happy to go over the coverages with you, but I think it's a great policy. I wouldn't change anything. I would just keep it for as long as you can.
mm-hmm,
And I'll turn around and a couple of days later, I'll say, I'll get a call and somebody will say, hey, I got your number from so and so, and it's somebody that I just took the time to explain their coverages to them. It's not even a client of mine, but because I took the time where maybe their other agent didn't, they're sending me referrals. So it's a pretty good feeling. And again, I try to give everybody, even, and to be honest about it too, a lot of times I get quotes that I can't be. And, if they have good coverage, it's not worth it to me to try and bring them over just to make a quick buck or to try and, jeopardize the integrity if they have a good quote or a good policy already.
right, yeah, no, that's good." And then, so you do like homeowners insurance. Do you also do like cars and things like
Yeah. So personal lines, primarily auto and home,
that? Mm-hmm.
is kind of like the thing that I focus on.
Okay.
I service a little bit of commercial policy. So for people that have their businesses, contractors, small businesses, I do commercial. And then I also do life insurance, which is kind of what I started with back before I got into personal lines. So I do all four, but I would say primarily I focus with homeowners and, typically their auto insurance that comes with it as well.
Okay. So I have some customers that typically ask me, like, they have their auto insurance with one company and they're getting a new home. Does it typically make sense to bundle them together or keep them separate, or like what do
Yeah,
you
it,
notice?
it just it just depends. 3 or 4 years ago, when I got started into insurance, it was so easy to get everybody to bundle, right? So you would have the auto and the home with the same company, and you had the best rate, and that was primarily due to the fact that we had a lot of carriers that were really competitive. Well, fast forward now to where Arkansas kind of is been getting hit pretty hard with catastrophic claims like tornadoes, hail damage.
Mm-hmm.
The underwriting in the companies has kind of gotten a lot tighter, where now somebody can almost could get a better insurance rate by having the auto with one carrier and having the home with a different carrier. So it just depends. There's clients where, they fit perfectly into the underwriting of a specific company. And then there's some clients that even if you try to put them with the same company, it won't offset the price if they had them separate. So it's just kind of a case on case basis. But again, being a broker, you have the benefit that I have some clients with one company for their home and then I have their auto policy with a different one. And some carriers, as long as it's with the same agency, they'll give you the bundle discount. So you get kind of the benefit of both.
Okay, nice. Yeah, no, that's pretty good. Like, as far as insurance information, I mean, I know I typically message you and just try to get information because, I mean, definitely really helpful. If you guys have any questions at all, wanting to get insurance policies either for your new home, or maybe you have a house right now that you're wanting to either keep it or keep it as a rental and then get another one, and just want to see, does the policy change if it's like a converts to a rental? Just any questions that you guys might have, just feel free to reach out to them. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so you guys can reach out to me on Instagram. It's at nwainsure.com. My office is here in Springdale. It's 3409 Elm Springs Road, right next to Elm Springs Gym. And then my cell phone number is 479-422-6891. So you can shoot me a text or give me a call, and I'm happy to help you in whatever I can.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you, Alberto.
Thank you.
Thank you.